Let's get this joint rocking. Word. All right, man. Welcome again to another live video. Speaking with yours truly, Carlos Henry, aka Loso 2.0. As you know, recently, what I've been kind of taking these live videos, take a time to do with them, is to break down Bible chapters, but the Bible chapters in connection to leadership. Because I feel like this book is super, super important with the lessons that it teaches, not even for just spiritually, but financially, mentally, uh, physically. It tells us this is the guide for pretty much everything in life. And it's just been taking me to the next level, to be honest with you. So, as you know, Matthew 1 is really a genealogy of Jesus. And what do I mean by that, right? So I mean that it's breaking down the lineage of Jesus Christ, how he came to, who became before him, the father of the father. You know how in the Bible continues to break down like this person is the father of this person, and vice versa as it continues to go on. So that's what I'm going to be pretty much. I'm going to be talking about that too as well. I'm also going to be explaining how lineage, identity, and purpose relate to leadership. So there's a big thing with lineage. It's a big thing with that tree of connections, which you're going to learn a lot about in this video as well. And then also too, you're going to learn about me pretty much discovering my own leadership identity as I continue to go throughout my life, as I continue to grow. So if you have any questions, you can ask them. Just make sure. Okay, I had to check real quick on Instagram if there was any questions, any comments or concerns. But if not, let's get started with this stuff, right? So we're talking about the power of lineage and foundation, right? Metaphysically, okay, going into the Bible, like I said, it was explaining Jesus's his background, right? Like how he came to the father of his father of his father. The genealogy of Jesus represents a spiritual inheritance. Now, what I mean by this, leaders, you stand on the foundation of the ones that came before you. If there was no Eric Thomas, I'm not sure if there would have been a Carlos Henry, because of the idea that that's what introduced me into speaking. Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins. If there was no Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Eric Thomas would have been inspired in order to start talking about it too as well. So a big part about being a leader is standing on the foundation that was set by the leader before you, right? In whatever it is. If it's in sports, if you are a basketball player, without any Michael Jordan, there would be no Kobe Bryant, because Kobe Bryant started to stand on the foundations that Michael Jordan created. There would be no iPhone 16 if there was no iPhone 1, right? So, or the first iPhone. So stand on, as a leader, you have to stand on the foundation of the people that came before you. True leaders, they acknowledge the wisdom, failure, and victories of those who came before them. So what I mean by that, again, like we're talking about Martin Luther King. See, there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is just information, okay? Just the gathering of information. So me reading a book is me gaining knowledge. Me reading the Bible is me gaining knowledge. And this is what I was doing for a long time, just reading this Bible, just trying to gain knowledge. Wisdom is the application of knowledge. So it's the experience that you receive from applying knowledge through life. So I will always take someone with more wisdom over someone with more knowledge. Because the person with knowledge, they know what to do, quote unquote, but the person with the wisdom has failed, has done it, failed, and learned from life experience. So now they know what to do based off of their life experiences. True leaders always acknowledge the wisdom of those before them. I'm always going to understand. I'm always going to realize Malcolm X was going through walking. They was doing sit-ins. They was walking. They was speaking public street preaching. That's what it's called, street preaching, right? So I will always stand on the wisdom of those before me. The failures, I know Malcolm X he went through a lot of stuff before he even got introduced into Allah with him, because he was Muslim. But Martin Luther King, I'm sure he had failures. People were spraying him, throwing food at him, doing all this stuff. And this guy was so level-headed in order to just take all of that stuff in order to start doing it. So failures, and then their victories too as well. That I have a dream speech is probably the most powerful speech that there ever was, and people today still, to this day, still continue to think about that speech, continue to talk about that speech, continue to love that speech because it was a I have a dream speech, bro. That's like a really, really big important speech. So understand the victories before them too as well. So my mentor, my old mentor, well, not my old mentor, but one of my mentors, Tink, he always said this, right? You never can know where you're going until you remember where you came from. A big part of moving forward is understanding your past. That's why this is so important too. Just even not even this is super far, but the Bible is, some see it as a history book, some see it as just a book of lessons. It could be both, right? You have to know where you came from. You have to know about Adam and Eve, the lessons that they learned. You got to know about Judah. You got to learn about Joseph, Job, Matthew. You got to learn about all these people from the Bible in order to know where you're going. But you also have to remember where you came from too as well. I always say this, right? When I started getting back into working out, because I'm gonna be honest with you guys, if you guys are in high school, right, or you're in college right now, you're probably in best shape of your life. Outside of college and high school, outside of playing sports, you're going to gain weight because then you stop playing sports. Sports was like your outlet of working out. So me thinking back to when I started to really get back into my fitness journey again, I was thinking about, dang, what was I doing before that kept me in the greatest shape that I was, the great shape that I was? And I remember it was me doing the 100 pull-ups a day, me doing the push-ups, crunches, sprints, hooping, doing all these things is what helped me and kept me in my best shape. So then I have to slowly, gradually work my way back into that stuff. But I am working my way back into those things today, right? So me understanding where I came from and what I did before is what's going to help me get to where I'm going. Same thing with me when I'm talking to leaders and I'm helping people today. Today I onboarded someone else for my job. I onboarded a new hire, and we were talking, and I was like, listen, I'm gonna tell you this story, but not this story in order for you to feel like you have to compare yourself to me. But this story is literally deep in the aspect of it's going to help you decide whether or not you want to be here, just to show you the power of being here. And I told him about when I was a representative, and I was only represented for like 8 months, came a manager, was only a manager for like a year, not even a year. And then I became a district manager, and it was because I kept building stores up and stuff. But that past, people want to hear that story because that's what's going to help motivate them to get them to the next level. All right. Okay. Just want to check to see if anybody had any questions or anything so far. So that's the first point right there, right? Is the power of lineage and foundation. Knowing that the ones that came before you have to build off of the foundation. The second thing is breaking generational patterns, right? So Jesus's lineage, they are filled with imperfect people, right? Imperfect people. David, Raham, Tamar. Leadership is not about perfection, dude. It's about transformation. And I say this all the time. I was, talking to someone too before about something where, we were just talking about just random stuff. We were talking about things, talking about how this person we knew was so great. We don't know if they, did whatever they did or whatever. And then I just continue to talk about it and say, hey, listen, I mean, from what the stories are telling us, we don't know if it's true or not, but they said that Martin Luther King was, Martin Luther King was not faithful to his wife. That's what they said. I'm not saying it's true or not, but there was rumors that said that though, right? So does that, him being imperfect in that sense, does that take away from all the greatness that he did? No, not really, because he wasn't talking about doing that. He was talking about making a change for everything else, but he's not perfect. But that makes him even more human. That makes you connect with him even more. My brother, I was talking to my brother, and one of my brothers, and they was just talking to me about like how they just thought that my whole life was just perfect because I'm always so happy. I always talk about how I've never had a bad day in my life, but that's not true. I go through times where I may feel insecure. I go through times where I feel like I don't just feel like getting up out of bed this day. I go through a lot of things like that, but there's the things that I do to prevent myself from thinking like that, the things that I do to get myself together so that I don't have to feel like that all the time, right? So being imperfect is actually what connects you more with people, right? Great leaders don't let their past dictate their future. They break limiting beliefs and forge a new path. Malcolm X was literally a thief, He literally used to steal, break into places, be with white women, all those things like that. And then he ended up getting into deep into his religion. And when he got deep into his religion, you seen him grow, you see him flourish, you see him grow as a person and continue to help people as well. Because he already had that it thing, that gift of gab. He had that. But him going deep into his religion as well helped fix that. But him doing those things before helped him connect with other people, because there were people who were trying to that were I think one of his friends was used to steal with him and rob and all stuff like that. And then he came and started seeing him speaking. He was able to help him get his life together. He tried to go back and talk to the guy who taught him all the stuff about stealing and everything. He tried to help him get his life together, but some things happened with him. But that is what's going to help you even more, is the fact that you're not perfect. Because like I was saying, it helps you connect with the other people who aren't perfect too as well, because no one is perfect. No one in this world is perfect at all. But your flaws and the things that make you you are what's going to help you grow even more, right? And that's what I went through, right? I went through a challenge or a mindset shift that helped break a generational pattern in my leadership, in my life. I never knew what an entrepreneur was until I was 18 years old, until I ran into my mentor, Tink, first mentor, who introduced me to the word. And then he also introduced me into entrepreneurship, where I was actually reading books on entrepreneurship, reading, learning, then trying to apply it to as well. He introduced that into my world. And then ever since he did, I've been growing ever since in this aspect. He also helped me out with basketball too, but I'm guessing basketball wasn't my means of, it's more like therapy now for me, rather than actually a means to stay in shape. Wasn't really my goal, or it was my goal, but I'm saying maybe it wasn't my end destination. God knew what the end destination was for me, and it was for my speech. It was for my gift of gab in order to help people in other ways. So him doing that helped shift my mindset, and it's helped me connect with people who may feel a certain way or may feel left out, or they're going through certain things that feel like they're just going to be another statistic. You don't have to be that, right? So first thing we talked about, like I said, was the power of lineage and foundation, and building off the foundation of the leaders that came before you. And the second thing is breaking generational patterns, right? Just because you came from something does not mean you have to be that something, right? So those are the two things. Third thing we're going to talk about, right, is Joseph's leadership through vision, right? So Joseph, sorry, tongue tied, was given divine insight through his dreams. Okay. I know you guys remember, or if you know the story of Joseph and all this stuff, right? Joseph, he was able to see in his dreams and stuff like that too as well. And he would see a vision and then tell people that vision. So leaders must have vision beyond what's seen. That's what's going to make you a leader, right? But not just having a vision beyond what people can see, because everybody has a vision, but it's to have that ability to have other people believe in that vision. All right. So that's what's going to make you very, very important and make you a leader. What's going to separate you is your ability to make somebody believe in the vision that you have, right? You have a vision. You have something that you want to actually get somebody to understand. But like I said, your vision is only going to get you so far if that's the vision that you have. But what's going to get you to the next level is making someone else believe in that vision that you have. That's how powerful you have to believe in that vision. All right. So strong leaders trust their inner guidance and intuition when making decisions. When you're making a decision, you get a gut feeling. When you're in leadership, my boss says this all the time, right? The VP of the company that I work for, he says all the time, numbers don't lie. Numbers tell a story. He is a very, very analytical numbers guy. And in my training on leadership, I break down how to look at numbers, getting KPIs, things like that too as well, that are very important for business, but in being a leader. But he said, before the numbers even come out, you get a gut feeling about somebody. When you first meet somebody, you get a gut feeling like, excuse me, this person's going to be good. Or you may get a gut feeling like this person's not going to be good, right? So that's something that is like a gut feeling that you get. I'm telling you, as a leader, you have to understand how to feel that gut feeling and then move based off of that gut feeling. Like you already understand, you already have a feeling that this person is just not it. You have a feeling this person is just not it, right? But you may feel like, oh, I'm not going through it. You know what I mean? You just don't want to pull the plug, but sometimes you gotta follow that intuition. You know, when they say women's intuition or something, right? You gotta follow that feeling that you had, right? Um, and I I had to trust a vision one time. Here is a perfect example where me and another leader was just talking about this, right? There was this employee who was an ex-leader, used to be a leader in our company, and they did not do so well as a leader. I'll be honest with you, they were not doing as well as a leader. And the leader was about to, we were bringing down a location. Now the leader was given an option. Hey, listen, they talked to someone else who was at another location, and they were like, listen, we want them. And we understood that the leader was going through a lot of things. We understood that this person was, they weren't doing what they're supposed to be doing as much at this one location, but they were like, no, cool, just bring them over here. Brought them over to the other location, and they're flourishing, right? There was a gut feeling that they were just going to flourish, regardless of what the numbers were saying. And it's still working out to this day. So it's all situational. It's about that gut feeling that you have. It's that intuition that you have, but you have to follow that vision that you have for yourself, your company, your zone as a supervisor, whatever it is, right? As a director, whatever it is, you have to follow that gut feeling sometimes. So 3 things we talked about so far, like I said, the power of lineage and foundation, building off of the foundation of the leaders that came before you. 2, breaking generational pattern. Just because you came from something does not mean you have to be that something forever, right? 3, leading through your vision. And remember, your vision, it's not about just having the vision. It's about being able to convince someone else to follow that vision. All right. I appreciate that too. Appreciate that too, brother. Appreciate that too, Zion. But yes, that's 3 things right there. Now, again, like I said, I do have a training that I have out right now. If you were interested in that training on leadership, just comment. I'll DM you. I'll, get you set up with everything. But I'm gonna continue anyway on this, right? The 4th thing is embracing the unconventional. Okay. So if you know anything about Matthew chapter 1, Mary was pregnant without Joseph and her, getting it in. That's definitely, if that's not unconventional, I don't know what unconventional is, right? That completely right there threw him on a whole loop. Like, oh, what the heck? Can you imagine that right now today? You have a boyfriend, girlfriend, you get married to a husband, you husband or wife, whatever, or your wife. And I'm just thinking from a guy's perspective. I can't think from a woman's perspective, but from a guy's perspective, wife, girlfriend, you never have any type of intercourse with this person, and then they're just pregnant. That's unconventional, bro. You're not going to believe, and they're going to be like, yo, listen, this is Jesus. This is the Son of God. Today, I can see like, yo, what the heck? Even back then, it's like, yo, what in the world? Like, this is crazy. That was unconventional, yet it carried the greatest purpose. Leadership often calls for, it may look unusual, okay? And I always say this too with my team. With leaders, some leaders, like when you're a leader above leaders, sometimes you have to give them that freedom of creativity, right? You have to allow them to innovate different ideas for themselves in order to get to that end goal, right? You don't know what the end goal is, but you might have to let them, what the end goal is. They need to hit this goal of maybe a certain amount of gross profit. Maybe they need to get a certain amount of referrals, a certain amount of calls made. But you may not, you just got to sometimes give them the freedom when they're doing good. When they're not doing good, that's when sometimes you guys got to brainstorm together, right? But it's about having that camaraderie. Leaders must embrace the unexpected and be willing to lead in ways that challenge norms. I cannot talk to one location the same way I talk to the next. I have one location where I could literally dang near not dog the person, but like, come on, bro. Like, you doing some BS. Come on, bro. Like, you got this. Come on. Da, da, da. Like, it's all motivational. I'm not cursing no one out or anything. But then there's another location that they may not respond as well to that. They may need you to kind of like coddle them a little bit. You know what I mean? And then don't get started when things happen. People quit all the time. I moved at one location. I moved 2 people over there that I thought were gonna go over there and kill it, and both people ended up just one quit, one just dropped their hour, trying to leave. And I'm like, dang, that I had to figure out, okay, boom, you have to pivot at this point. And I'm like, all right, you know what, boom, hire someone now. All right, then I hired this person. Then the person, they were so good, they ended up getting another job. So then I had to hire another person. You know what I mean? I hired this other person. They're over here, they're good, they're excited. And I've still got to talk to them too, you know, train them up. So you got to start on that process again. But once you get them in, it's a matter of trying to find ways to just keep them in, right? So leadership is going to have these things just coming your way. You got to be able to pivot, just like anything in life. You always got to be able to pivot. Growing up, unexpected stuff happened to me all the time, bro. All the freaking time. There was times when, you know, when I was living with my mom for a little bit, you know, we living over West Side or we living in Philly on Shoe Ave, and she's like, oh, you know, I gotta, she moves back. She can't afford to take care of me and my brother. All right, now we got to go back to my dad's house. We may not want to go back. So we're like, oh, let me try to talk to my titi. Let me try to stay with my titi. Oh, let me try to stay with my cousin. We'll try to pivot them. You got to go back to dad's house. All right, boom. Now we got to pivot how we're living again. You know what I mean? We're used to taking warm showers. Now you're taking cold showers. You got to be used to doing this, right? You were used to just chilling, waking up, feeling comfortable sleeping. Now you got to sleep with your jacket and everything on. Make sure none of them roaches get into you, right? So being able to pivot, you got to learn how to pivot sometimes, bro. Like you really got to learn how to pivot sometimes in life. All the time, because that's the one thing that's only constant in life, and that's change. And as a leader, you have to be the one that's level-headed, because a lot of times people getting under that pressure and they start panicking. You as a leader, you got to be level-headed. Okay, take a deep breath, because if they see you panicking and you're supposed to be the most level-headed person on, and the person that they look to, they're gonna start panicking. So sometimes you just gotta talk to them. Take a deep breath, bro. I got you. We gonna get this done, right? So 4 things that we talked about. I keep going back over just so you can remember. The power of lineage and foundation. Remember, you are building off of the foundation of the leaders that came before you. 2, you're breaking generational patterns, right? Just because you came from something does not mean you have to be that something. 3, leadership through vision. Remember, your job as a leader is to get everybody to believe in your vision that you have. 4, embracing the unconventional. It may be ugly. You may win ugly as heck, but you're still winning. That's the point of it all together, right? So then we're gonna go into step 5. No one has any questions so far. All right, cool. Let me double check, you know, the book and all that. Make sure we good. All right, cool. So 5, the birth of purpose in leadership, right? So the birth of Jesus represented the birth of higher purpose within us, right? We are all meant for something greater than what we believe that we are. I say this all the time, man. I have this one location that they just won't do good, and they just wouldn't do good the last 2 months. I'll just put them in a call. I'm like, hey, listen, we're going to talk about training, but this is going to be all training that has nothing to do with sales. It's just your reason why. Like, I need to know why you're doing this, right? Pull out that deeper thing within them. You are built for something greater, but you must nurture this calling as a leader. You're built for something greater. You need to figure out what that is. You got to build that clarity, right? And if you do feel like you're built for something greater, again, get with me, DM me, comment below. I'll reach out to you. We can get something going, right? So just as Jesus' birth was met with obstacles, there was a lot of obstacles coming when Jesus got born. Great leaders must protect and nurture their purpose through challenges. Again, sticking to that mission, right? It may get ugly. I went to go watch my brother's basketball game yesterday. This was one of the ugliest basketball games I ever watched. I mean, literally, I was confused. People turn the ball over late in the game. Like, they were up a good amount. People turn the ball over in the game, missing layups, fouling. So my man's finger sideways. That don't look crazy. I almost threw up just looking at that. But all that stuff going through the store of the game. And then they came and saw the game, won by 2 points, hard-fought game or whatever, right? You must, as a leader, you must be able to remember the vision that, you got to win at all costs. Challenges are going to come. Like I said, I told you, I moved people over and they ended up quitting. And I thought they were going to do great. But you got to remember that mission at the end of it all, right? Just remember that mission. So boom, I've been talking a lot, I ain't gonna lie. And hopefully you've been enjoying this all so much, right? I already talked to you guys about recapping everything, right? I'm encouraging you something, right? I want you to reflect on this on your own. Your lineage, your vision, and your purpose. Really think about these things in your life and how they're affecting you, right? I'm asking you to identify one generational pattern that you will break, or one vision that you will commit to trusting over the course of the next week. So I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna at least get 4 live videos out this month. So I want you guys to do it. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get better at playing these drawings, but I'm just gonna pop up and start talking, right? And one last thing, you guys have any questions or anything for me? If you don't, you know what I mean? I'll give you guys a little bit to think about that. But if you are looking to get into some type of leadership program, right? Let's say you're a leader. First of all, if you are a leader, and I mean a leader in any capacity that you can think of, right? I'm talking about directors. I'm talking about supervisors at UPS, maybe leader in your industry, CEO of your business, parent, um, pastor, associate pastors, and you're struggling with getting people to listen to you. You're struggling with keeping that friendship, that balance of friendship and the role, that the reading of numbers and have the numbers tell you a story, keeping the morale high and all that stuff. If you're looking for those things, if you're looking to get help with those things, I want you to comment below. I want you to DM me. I want you to message me wherever you think you can find me. And we will work together on building yourself for the future to be the leader that you're supposed to, whether it's going to make yourself more money or make you have that bigger impact that I know that you can have. Right. So in it all, man, thank you for hopping on here, man. Y'all keep killing the day. Remember, winners win, losers lose. You guys pray for success like this. I'll talk to you guys 2.0 out.